Hello, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Taylor, and today I'll be ranking every book I read in the year of 2025. But before I open the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you love all things books. So the year 2025, according to StoryGraph, I read 79 books, but that's not including DNFs. So I read somewhere, let's just say, between 75 and 85 books in that range. And for a little bit of reading stats, according to my StoryGraph account, which you can follow me on StoryGraph, it's always linked in the description box down below, my top genres for the year were romance, young adult, LGBTQIA+, obviously, contemporary, and fantasy. Yes, with romance by and far being the best. The longest book I read was Death Divide, and the shortest book I read I'm not really going to be talking about because it was just like a short erotica novel, but it's, the title is Death Comes Hard, so... The book that took me the least amount of time to read was Destroy Me by Taylor Mafi, and the book that took me the most time to read was Over the Influence, which is a memoir. And then my most read authors of the year were Taylor Mafi at 5 books, 4 books for Suzanne Collins, and then 4 books for Timothy Janofsky. And my average rating for the year was a 4.36, and I ended up with, I believe, 15 5-star reads for the year, and I had a couple 1 stars, no 2-star range. It really takes a lot for any book to drop below 3 stars for me, so yeah. But I have every single book that I read this year, including my DNFs, into my tier maker right now. So let's go ahead and hop into our tiers and how we're going to be ranking these books. So I have 7 tiers here. Starting off with the top tier is my new all-time favorite God tier books. There are maybe like a couple books that have slid into that position this year. Obviously, I'm not one to reread, so obviously my major God tiers aren't going to be up there necessarily, but I did have a few who entered this year. Second tier is great, but not God tier. They were maybe 5 stars, 4.5, 4.75 stars. They're not necessarily like new all-time favorites that have changed my life sort of situation, but still highly recommend. The third tier was I was entertained. Is there anything specific that I really want to talk about with this book? Not really, but she did her job. Then my fourth tier I've added for nonfiction. I should probably make that nonfiction and classics, just because I don't rate nonfiction, I don't rate classics, but I did read both nonfiction and classics in like a small amount this year, so we'll just put those there when you see it. I should probably just go in and change this to say and classics on there so we know what we're talking about. Then our fifth tier is I have notes. These are the books that left me questioning some things. Like I have notes on your storytelling, your writing, your character development. The last 2 tiers are basically 2 sides of the same coin. These are reserved for my DNFs or my least favorite books of the year. One was I was bored. Like I simply just did not care. I had no care in the world where this book was going, and I either decided not to finish it, or by the time I finished it, I was like ready to be like, out of my head. And the last one, it's a no from me. Jade's album is still stuck in my head. It's a no for me, being the closer to It Girl. These are the books that I would not recommend to my enemy. They would make great kindling if they were available. So yeah, let's go ahead and start. I do have these in order of how I read them this year. So starting out with the first book I read this year, and then when we get to the end, we will get to our DNFs for the year. So Chaos and Flame by Justina Ireland and Tessa Gratton. The more I thought about this book, the more I'm just like, so this is an enemies to lovers, young adult fantasy following our main character who's, listen, I can remember plots, character names, not going to be up there. But we're following our main character who is essentially the last of her bloodline. And she is fighting with the resistance up until one day when she is caught by essentially the dystopian, maniacal rulers of the kingdom. And after she is caught, the very much so crazy brother decides to declare war is over, and she is now going to be sort of like our savior and so on and so forth. However, this enemies rivals to lover situation was done so quickly and oddly, and I'm just like, I'm not someone who hates insta-love. I like, things to move fast, but it was just clunky in its development. It's fun, it's cute, it's a little queer if you're looking for that. Marshmallow Mountain. Also, I have notes on Marshmallow Mountain. This is a queer, second chance romance following two men who, after one of them had gone through a lot of major life issues and downs, decides to end their relationship. So 8 months later, he's calling up his ex and being like, hey, can we sell our mountain home? And his ex is like, yeah, but I'm gonna go up there to make sure nothing goes wrong as we're putting on the market. And of course they get snowed in and they develop things. Yeah, I think it was just like, we could have edited this book down. It touched on a lot of hard topics and stuff like that. I wasn't necessarily bored. I just feel like maybe we could have been a little quicker in the pace there, especially while it does touch on hard topics, it's still supposed to be a spicy little rom-com, so she could have moved a little faster. Zodiac Rising. Great, but not God tier. She was a 5-star reader this year, and I have picked up the sequel. I think with Zodiac Rising, it could move into God tier depending on how, I think it's going to be a trilogy, how the trilogy itself goes. But for the first book, this is just like the epitome of what I think a YA fantasy is, and I realize if I give you the plots of every book, we're going to be forever and a day here. But just know that this is a YA like heist fantasy following a cast of 4 different characters, 1 fox spirit, 1 vampire, 1 werewolf, and 1 human. And you go from there. But yeah, if you're looking for solid YA fantasy, this is a good book. Over the Influence by JoJo. She is a non-classic, a memoir. I listened to her. So I started listening to her at the end of 2024 while I was on a work trip. And then I just kind of finished her up through the month of January. Sometimes with audiobooks, I finish them quickly. Sometimes I don't. You know what? If you're interested in the life of JoJo and everything that she's gone through, she was a singer-songwriter who was very popular in the early 2000s. And you know, you might have been seeing her all over your For You page after she was on the Jonas Brothers tour. So yeah, you know what? If you want to listen to it, it's definitely a hard listen, but you know what? I'd recommend. Oh, so here's the thing. I did read 2 Elsie Silver books this year, and I do like her books. However, given her recent controversy, I'm definitely taking a hiatus from her, so I'm not going to really talk about their books other than to say that they would both probably go there once I ever find them. Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. New all-time favorite romance. Rome is just, like, he is up there with top tier, like, book boyfriends. I have learned this year, like, the friends with benefits, the situationship trope, like, is a thing I love. And this one has it, and I'm just like, yes. Saint Seducing Gold. So, yeah. Great, but not God tier. This is the second book in the Forge and Fracture saga, and the first book, That Same Metal, was 5 stars for me last year. While the second book isn't 5 stars for me, I'm really excited to see where the third and final book, Iron of Midnight, takes us. I don't own it yet, but I think it deserves amazingness just for the covers alone. But I do highly recommend. It's queer, it's polyamorous, you know what, it's historical fantasy, it's YA. Then we have another nonfiction, Great LGBTQ Plus Speeches by T. Uglow, I think is their name. This is just simply a collection of excerpts of great speeches by queer icons or queer allies throughout history. So if you want to delve more into that, go pick it up. Ooh, Spark of the Everflame. The more I think about the first books, I just think I have notes. This is the thing. I am like halfway through the second book, Glow of the Everflame. I don't know when I'll go around to pick it up. But like the more I thought about it, I'm just like, you know what? She set up the world. She kind of alluded at the romance that was to come. But we were kind of in the dark for the most of the first book. And while it is a first book and it's not necessarily supposed to give us all the answers, you know, in round 1, I just felt like the entire time we were reading, I'm like, I'm gonna need something. I'm gonna need something to sink my teeth into. But so far, the second book is better, in my opinion, and most people have said that. And the romance itself does pick up if you're looking for that rival/enemies to lover situation. Shatter Me, book 1. I was entertained. It hooked me. I kept wondering the entire time, why does everyone love Aaron Warner? But when we got to the novella Destroy Me, now that told me the things about Aaron Warren that I needed to know. I feel like the first book, Shatter Me, really, like, you can tell the writing grows, like how the author grew writing wise from book 1, you know, up until the 3rd book in the series that I read. So yeah, she's good. I always say Shatter Me, like the first book is good for middle school, but like the further you get on in the series, the more aged up it kind of gets. So just do keep that in mind. But yeah, Destroy Me, great novella. I got abducted by aliens and now I'm trapped in a rom-com by Kimberly Lemming. Spicy, why choose? aliens, monster smut. What else can I say? It's funny, it's cutesy. If you like that lane, go read it. Go read it. January's by Olivia Blake. So I didn't hate it. I just think the more I think back on it and all the short stories that were in there, most of them I was just like, yeah, these are fine. These are fine. It's a collection of short stories set around the different seasons. Obviously, Olivia Blake has a very, lyrical, sometimes pedantic and pretentious style of writing. So yeah, it really just depends, because I feel like short stories, if I'm going to read a collection of short stories, I want them to be really quick and really snappy, and some of these just kind of dragged. Business Casual by B.K. Boris and another Friends with Benefits read of the year. She's another 5-star. She's the 4th and final book in the Love Light Farm series. We're following Charlie and Nova. It's just, it's sweet. This one is set in the autumn time, so maybe save her for the autumn time. But the entirety of Love Light Farms as a series, I would recommend to anyone who's looking for good romance. Obviously, this book is the spiciest out of the 4 books, so if you're not into spice, maybe don't read. Most Ardently by Gabe Cole Novoa. You know what? I was entertained. When I think back on it, I don't really have any, notes to add on to it. But for, a queer/trans Pride and Prejudice retelling, I think it was good. And I, in fact, think that this would be a good, I know we're finally getting some, good queer adaptations on media in TV and film now. Obviously, with Heated Rivalry just coming out and closing out the year. So, I think this would be a good one. Go Luck Yourself by Sarah Raish. I was entertained. The Nightmare Before Christmas, which I read in 2024, I have notes on her. I loved the romantic moments that we got, and some of the lines were great. But you know what? She was not the best read. But Go Luck Yourself, now that you had been immersed in the world and, had to, buy into everything, I think it was good. It was little rivals to lovers, sort of forbid, what, he's kind of the enemy, and, but we're being forced to, live together, work together, and try and put on this face. And, of course, you know what? He's got an Irish accent, so what more could you want? Love Points to You. I was also entertained. This is by Alice Lynn. This is a cutesy YA sapphic romance between 2 demisexual girlies. One is an artist, one is rich and needs the artist to make her a little otome game, and she was sweet. I feel like sweet and cute will be the descriptors of all of them. The Princess Trap. I was also entertained by The Princess Trap. If you're on your Bridgerton kick and you're like, I need Bridgerton kick, this isn't set in Victorian England, but it gives the vibes of you're falling in love with a royal, like a commoner falling in love with a royal. This one might be for you. We also have 2 bisexual leads, and I think it's kind of fun. Solitaire by Alice Oseman. Great. This is the book that follows Charlie's sister, Tori. If you're a fan of Heartstopper, Tori is the eldest, daughter, oldest sister. She is the one who defends her family down. But in Solitaire, we really get to dive into her romance storyline. And, she comes out as asexual in the Heartstopper series, the books, but never in the show. And it's never stated in here. But this story really follows her dealing with depression. So do keep that in mind. Master of Me by Kiki Palmer. I think this is the best memoir that I engaged with this year. I think I only read 2 memoirs this year, but Master of Me, if you're a fan of Kiki Palmer, True Jackson VP, Hustlers, I'm trying to think of what else. But yeah, she basically just goes through her entire life, her career. And while it is kind of a memoir, it is a lot of a self-help and really analyzes what does it mean to be a creative in this space in the ever-changing world that she's in. Unravel Me. I was also entertained by Unravel Me and the Shatter Me series. This is the 2nd book in the series. This one we really get to see the relationship develop with Aaron, and things go on with Adam and stuff like that. And that's just about all I will say there. If you don't know anything, Shatter Me is a YA dystopian novel, and I feel like we leave it there. So Radio Silence, Radio Silence, I have notes. So Radio Silence by Alice Oseman is the next in their works outside of Heartstopper. This one has nothing to do with Heartstopper. And we're following Francis and Aled and sort of how their relationship ensues based around Aled being the famous radio podcaster, Radio Silence. I just feel like there was some editing that could be done down on this book because I feel like it dragged at some points. Some Shall Break. Great but not God tier. This is the second book in what is going to be a trilogy for the None Shall Sleep series. It's a historical, like, mystery thriller novel following two teenagers who are assigned by the FBI to profile teenage serial killers, and then, of course, they engage with more. Yeah. Does it need to be a trilogy? Maybe not. But is it an interesting series to read? Yes. And there is a little romance that is forming in the series. So don't go into it looking for romance. But yeah. Fracture Me. So Fracture Me is a novella from Adam's point of view following the events in book 2. It does give you a look into what Adam's like mind space and headspace is at the time. But by this, it did really just kind of it did help me make some decisions about Adam, but I think it was a bit unnecessary, to be fair. Like, what was I given there? Manila Takes Manhattan. I was entertained. It was a good, concise story about two Filipino like stars in their own right and how they're both dealing with their separate worlds and how they're coming together on this one project and so on and so forth. I just don't really have much to say about it, and I did unhaul it. So, My Vampire Plus One. I was also entertained. This is a sequel in the interconnected standalone series following My Roommate is a Vampire. And this one, we're following an accountant who basically needs to, get her family off her back and brings a vampire as her boyfriend. Only she doesn't know that he's a vampire, even though he was pretty sure he already told her. And lots of fun things ensue for there. You have to, really cringy and cheesy is the best way to describe it, even though I don't necessarily like using those words. Otherwise, you won't like that. 12th Night by Alexine Farrell Fallmuth. This was another 5-star YA romance read of the year. Obviously, it's a retelling of Shakespeare's 12th Night, and we're following V and Jack, and there's, hidden identity, online discussions, and then there's, real-life rivals to lovers. So, yeah, do pick up if that's your vibe. Firebird by Sunmi. This is a sapphic graphic novel following two Korean teenagers in high school kind of dealing with their sexuality and gender identities. I thought it was fine. There was nothing particularly amazing about the novel, but if you're looking for something sapphic and dramatic, that one might be up your alley. Little Things, LGBTQ+. This is a graphic novel that helps, give definitions and describe the different sexualities and gender identities. It's very short, very easy to read. If you're like, I don't know where I am or I'm looking for a label, that one might be one that you want to read. Squad by Maggie Takuta Hall. Great but not God tier. This is YA sapphic werewolves, and I will leave it at that. It's also a graphic novel, so if you're looking for something in the spooky season, maybe go down that route. The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I'm putting her in great but not God tier just for the sheer fact that I haven't finished the series yet, but just know once I finish the series, I'm 100% sure I will move up into God tier. Just because this is just I guess it's my first real foray into high fantasy. And I think everyone kind of has mixed feelings about R.F. Kuang's writing. As someone who works in academia and has that skew, I think her writing and Olivia Blake's writing, kind of coincide in a style that leads academic and maybe a little bit more pedantic than the average human wants to read, but that I enjoy. North Ranger. Do I put her... I'm going to put her in great, but not God tier. This is another 5-star read and probably my favorite YA romance read of the year, following Cade, who's a closeted teen in rural conservative Texas, and his little relationship with the conservative ranch owner's son. I ever tell everyone the last 10% of this book made me go through the spectrum of emotions from happy, sad to let's throw this book across the room, which is interesting because it was my phone that I was reading this on. So if that entices you, go pick it up. New Adult by Timothy Chanovsky, another great but not God tier book. It's funny because I tried for all of 2024 to read this book and I just never got past the first 2 chapters. But when I finally sat down to read this book, I was ready to bawl my eyes out at the end of the book. It's a queer 13 going on 30 retelling with a little magical realism, best friends to lovers situation, and I don't know why I was tearing up. 4.75 stars. Lovely, lovely read. This right here, this blank little cover here is just because StoryGraph didn't have it. I read a book all about the Egyptian pharaohs and their entire dynasties when I was teaching my Egyptology course this summer, so that's where it belongs. Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire. This is the I Was Entertained. This is well, it's Claudia's story in a graphic novel version. I've never actually read the original Interview with a Vampire, but I needed something to pass the time, and graphic novels on my phone was just really the vibe for this summer. But yeah, Interview with a Vampire, the show, like the newest iteration, is one of my favorites of all time. And it's probably one of the only pieces of vampire media that I'm like, yes, absolutely love. So if you want to read it, go forth and have fun. Say a Little Prayer. Great, but not God tier. There's a lot of books that kind of fall into that category. This is Jenna Voris's new book for this year. Everyone knows how much I love every time you hear that song. And this book is another bisexual female lead, YA, and she's determined that she's going to commit all 7 deadly sins in 7 days at church camp while also avoiding her feelings for her best friend / the preacher's daughter. If that doesn't give you anything to go off, hey. The Roommate Risk by Talia Hibbert. I have notes. This is like, best friends to lovers, forced proximity. They're forced to live with each other while her apartment is under renovation. Yeah, she was sweet. She was cute. We could have it could have been adjusted just a little, but hey, if you're looking for that, it's not my number one Talia Hibbert recommend, but I will read this woman's entire backlist because I love a good time. The ABCs of LGBTQ+ by Ashley Mardell. Another queer nonfiction. Basically, it's a more expanded dictionary on queer identities and gender identities. So if you're looking for that, maybe try there. Loveless by Alice Oseman. Okay, I hate to put it there just for the sheer fact that, I'm not saying it's a bad book. The same way I'm not saying January's is a bad book. I just felt like the entire time I was reading this is her book following... Can't remember the character's name. But our character is really discovering their aro ace identity, and that's the entirety of the book, and sort of the messy friend and relationship dynamics that, spawn from that. I just kind of felt like the book was a little long for me. It kind of dragged. So, yeah. Deathless Divide. Great but not God tier. Part of me wants to do I put her in God tier? Let's consider Dread Nation and Deathless Divide. Collectively, are they God tier? Are they God tier? As of right now, I would not say. I feel like maybe I need to do a reread of those back to back and see how I feel. But this is YA fantasy queer horror that answers the question of what would happen if the zombie apocalypse took place during the American Civil War. And I will leave you there. Where there's smoke. This one, I was entertained. It's a sexy slice of life, sort of 0 to 100 sapphic read between small town baker and small town firefighter. So yeah, I would say if you're a fan of 911 and you particularly love the character of Hin, I think this might be up your alley. Virtually Yours. I was entertained. It's just a graphic novel between two people who are communicating online and getting to know each other in real life, and they don't know that both are the same. Is it groundbreaking? No. But is it entertaining for, a quick graphic novel? Sure. There is also discussions around abuse and domestic abuse in this, so do keep that in mind. The Killing Code by Ellie Marney. This is her only other YA historical mystery thriller out. This one does lead more mystery. The thriller aspect of it really isn't there, but it's sapphic. It's 4 girls during World War II who are all, government girls, code breakers, and they're trying to figure out who is killing all of their co-workers / friends. And there's a little sapphic love story mixed in there. Long Live Evil. I'm going to put her in, if I can get this to go. Actually, I pulled Belladonna. Belladonna is great, but not God tier, as well as, let's just go ahead, because I read them in the same vlog, see if I can't get Long Live Evil to skirt up here with me. Long Live Evil by Sarah Reese Brennan is the first book in a series, and basically, if you've ever wanted to enter your favorite fantasy world, except, as the villain, that's the book for you. I always say if you like Taylor Swift's Look What You Made Me Do, and you're fine with a little bit of camp and cringe, that one's for you. And while I wouldn't necessarily say it's a queer fantasy, nearly every character but the main character that we follow is a little fruité. So just, keep that in mind. And then Belladonna by Adeline Grace, we're following Signa, who basically has a interesting relationship with the incorporeal being that is death. And it's, Gothic Victoria, England, and there's a little mystery subplot in there. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. She was cute, she was sweet, she was fun. Love Arranged, if I can get her to go up there. Great but not God tier. This is the final book in the Lakefront Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. We're following Lorenzo, who is our redeemed sort of, enemy, villain of the last two stories, and Lily. Is it everyone's favorite? No. Does it touch on a lot of topics that may not be the easiest to delve into? No. And is the storyline kind of like complicated? Yes. But I enjoyed it nonetheless, and I gave it 5 stars. Ignite Me, the final book in the original Shatter Me arc. She is great, but not God tier. Listen, Aaron Warner, the man that you like. I have to say, like, I love this book so much, except for the fact that Adam exists in this book. Adam pissed me off the entirety of this book, and that's why she's not God tier. But yeah, I was born for this. I'm going to put this in I was entertained. This is another one of Alice Oseman's books, and it is following Angel and Jimmy. Jimmy is the lead singer of the arc, and Angel is the arc's biggest fan, and it really touches on parasocial relationships and the idea and all-consuming weight that is fame. So if you're really wanting to delve into that topic, go there. Rewind it back. Yeah. This is the final book in the Windy City series, and while Rewind It Back isn't my favorite book, the Windy City series will forever live rent-free in my head. It is an all-time favorite, probably one of my favorite, if not my absolute favorite romance series of all time. This is Rio and Hallie's story. It's second chance. It's always been you. And there's no real third act breakup in this one, so hey. Hey, look, my first classic of the year. It's Hamlet by Shakespeare. I listened to it because Taylor Swift was releasing a song called The Fate of Ophelia, and that's really all I need to say on that. Nowhere to Run, the first book in the Unstoppable arc of 39 Clues. I was entertained. This is my favorite series as a kid. I had some time to pick up the next book that I had in the series. So yeah, I won't just delve too much into it, other than if you're looking for good middle grade stories that will help teach your kids sort of like history, go pick her up. The Fake Boyfriend Fiasco by Talia Hibbert. I have notes. This one just kind of came out the gate giving you a lot of lore. And I don't know if there are other books before this book in the Interconnected Standalone series that helps you there. But yeah, I mean, you've got like hot Greek soccer player who's also bisexual, who's like totally infatuated with the hot tattoo artist. And they're currently on a vacation / fake boyfriend situation. So, hey, if you want that, there. Then we have Hopeless. Again, I'm not going to linger too much other than say, you know what, I'm going to put that in I was entertained. The Fake Dating Game by Timothy Janowski. I'm going to put that in I was entertained. It's a very spicy number. It's not my favorite Timothy Janowski book, but it's not my least favorite. And I don't know how to say that, if you're looking to, read a very spicy, insta-lusty, queer romance story with, a reality show element to it, go pick it up. Sorcery and Small Magics. You know what? I was entertained. It's the first book in the cozy queer romantasy series following, academic rivals Grimm and Sebastian. The first book really, does not give too much in the romance department. It really is settling in on sort of the friendship dynamic and them going from rivals to friends. But a lot of people really love this book. I'm not a huge into the cozy realm, but I'd be enticed to see where the trilogy ends up going. The Black Girl survives in this one. That one shocked the hell out of me. It's a series of horror short stories, obviously, where the Black Girl survives in this one. Each story is around 20 to 30 pages, and I would recommend every single one of them. If you need a good spooky season read, go pick it up now. The Entanglement of Rival Wizards by Sarah Raish. Now, this is the first book by her that I can say I'm 100% go out and pick up. This is, again, academic rivals. The fact that I read this and Sorcery and Small Magics back to back is kind of funny because we have another academic rivals fantasy setting, romantasy setting, but between a character named Sebastian. In this case, the other character is Theo. This one is a spicy number, but it also touches on a lot of hard topics, so do keep that in mind. My Boyfriends Are All Monsters. Great, but not God tier. It's a spicy monster smut novella that Kimberly Lemming released for Halloween on Kindle, so if you're looking for that, go pick it up. I don't think there's anything else to say. Same with Ellie Hazelwood, Hot for Slayer. She is spicy vampire smut that was released for Halloween on Kindle, so go pick it up if you want that. Then we have Thieves Gambit by Kavion Lewis. I was entertained. I love the fact that I picked up this very much so heist YA heist novel around the time that the Louvre heist was going on. It was quick, it was fast paced, it was easily bingeable. It's the first in a duology. The entire time I'm looking at this girlie like, I'm gonna need you to clock what's going on around you, because even though you think you know everything, you definitely don't know everything. But she was a fun time. Every Gift a Curse. I have notes. This is the final book in the Gift trilogy by Caroline O'Donoghue, and as the years have gone on and as I've been reading this series, I don't love it as much as I once did. But if you're looking for queer tarot coven magic situation that also deals with religious trauma and religious persecution, this one might be up your alley. I will say the ending left me wondering, what about Aaron? I feel like he kind of got screwed out of this. If it makes you happy, I was entertained. I feel like everyone who read this book would absolutely loved it. And if you're looking for those Gilmore Girls 90s rom-com small town cozy vibes, this is cute. You know what? We have dogs, we have cute kids, we have an inn running an inn and stuff like that. You know what? If that's what you're looking for the fall, go read it. I thought it was sweet. I'm just I wasn't blown away. And that's really, really, really all there is left to say. Fall I Want. Okay, Fall I Want, I have notes. It was a fun insta-love story, but it was just way too long. I am famously said there can only be so many happy endings before you're time to wrap it up. And yes, that has innuendo in it because from the 50% mark on, these two could not get off of each other. But if you're looking for a spicy billionaire romance with an insta-love, there you go. Once Upon You and Me by Timothy Janowski. I was entertained. It's a nice little age gap story that deals with ADHD representation and sort of the eldest son mentality. I don't know what else to say there. Yeah. The Hunger Games. I will put, it's my first time reading The Hunger Games, and I did a full, reading vlog talking about, I did a full reading blog reading the Hunger Games series for the first time, if I can get this to work for me. But obviously, the Hunger Games trilogy, the OG, is going to be, God tier for me. I don't know what else there is to say about there. I can't wait for Sunrise on the Reaping to come out in paperback this year so I can finally pick it up, read it. And also the movie, I know it will be emotionally destroyed. And yeah, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I'll put in I was entertained. You can never make me like President Snow, babes. The entire time I was reading, I'm like, Susanna's good at her job because I'm reading this and I'm absolutely hating this man. Even though I definitely think the book did a good job at, really fleshing out the nuances of his actions and emotions and sort of his origin story and stuff like that. But do let me know in the comments down below. Do you think Lucy Gray survived and, made her way out and, has lived without him? Or do you think he actually killed her? Who knows? Love in Winter Wonderland. I have notes. This is the first romance I read for the holiday season, and while it really delves into the community and the spirit of community and family during the holiday times, the crux of the romance really hinged on emotional cheating, and I think that is a very tired trope and a trope that most people don't like. The Gift by Frida McFadden. Hell no. Should never have finished this. That's all I'm gonna say. That Set the Record Straight by Hannah Bonham Young. She is good, but not God tier. She's a sapphic holiday romance novella following childhood best friends. One has a bisexual awakening, and the other finally gets to realize that she can have a home in her hometown, even if it's not with the people she grew up with. And yeah. Flopping in a Winter Wonderland. Also great, but not God tier. Jay's Gay Agenda by this author is God tier, but this one, she was cute, she was fun. We're following two gay teenagers who are forced to be together on the small island of Wonderland, which is an all-year-round Christmas-themed park, and they're both trying to use each other for, something, and you can figure that out. A Christmas Carol. It's a classic. I listened to it. She was a good read. Basically, after the bad Christmas reads I had at the beginning of the month, I needed something to give me joy in life, and I thought let's listen to A Christmas Carol. The Merriest Misters. We'll put that in I Was Entertained. It's a holiday romance, kind of the Santa Claus retelling with a marriage and travel situation. I thought it was fine. It is fade to black, so if you're looking for like a low, no spice holiday romance, queer holiday romance, that one can be for you. And I feel like the way that they resolved the problems was a bit unique. Good Spirits by B.K. Borson. God tier holiday romance. If you didn't like this, I don't know what to tell you other than like this has made me like really solidify how much I love the It's Always Been You, Fated Mates, Destined sort of reincarnation storylines. And yeah, we're following a quiet little Christmas mouse who falls in love with a ghost of Christmas past. And that's all I will say there. 5 stars, absolutely amazing. B.K. Borson is a go-to author. Holiday Ever After. I was bored. It's by Hannah Grace. You know what? I did kind of, at the ending, I was expecting a little more out of it. But like the more I read, I'm like, it did what it came to do. It gave me the hallmarky, cutesy, small town holiday vibes. I love it at the ending because, you know, spoiler alert, it follows that Hallmark trope of like big corporate girly kind of leaves her job for like small town boy. However, she's like, no, he's like, are you leaving because of me? And she's like, no, I'm not leaving because of you. I don't know why men always think things are done because of them. I'm leaving because my boss/father treats me like shit and I have a better business opportunity out here with my brother. So it kind of usurps that. And then the last book that I read for the year was Game Changer by Rachel Reed. She is a spicy number. This is Scott and Kip's story. I'm so excited to read the entire Game Changer series. You will never make me hate Scott or Kip. I love them. They're the reason they're Game Changer. And I wish we had gotten more of their story in the show, especially because like there's like a bit of a time gap in the show, even though there really isn't as much in the book. And a lot of things went down in that second half that we need. Is it the most amazing story I've read of all time? No. But something tells me as I read on in this series, I'm going to have a God tier series. But for right now, I'm going to leave her in I Was Entertained and let her marinate for a little longer. And then we'll bump her up as the series goes on. And then in terms of my DNFs, Welcome to Fear City by Sarah Jovac. It's a YA horror novel about a girl who can touch things and automatically see their past. I was bored. I DNF'd it at 70%. I just really didn't care how it ended. The same with 3 Dark Crowns by Kendara Blake. This is a YA fantasy series, first book in a series following 3 sisters who are tasked with killing each other. And yeah, I got 20% in this book and I was like, yeah, I'm bored out of my mind. I'm not going to finish this. Then He Sees You When You're Sleeping by Alta Hensley. I DNF'd this a third of the way through. It's an adult dark romance, Christmas time, falling like a stalker and the girl he's in love with. I hated it. I was hate reading it. So I was like, yeah, after The Gift, I was like, peace out, not finishing that. And those are all the books that I read this year. So if you are going to pick out like my number 1 top tier must go read, obviously the top 2 tiers, go ahead and pick up now. These middle 2 tiers, pick up when you finish the top 2. This tier, the I Have Notes tier, you know what, read it and see like if it fits your vibe, go for it. And then the last 2 tiers, I don't know if I necessarily recommend them. It's definitely not the last tier. Last tier I say go burn them like kindling. But the I Was Bored tier, it really just depends on what your vibe is. They may hit more for you than they hit for me. But yeah, those are all the books that I read in the year of 2025. I'm so excited to see what 2026 gives me because now I definitely feel like I'm back in my reading grind. I'm no longer in that life slump that I felt like I was in for most of 2025. And reading seems to be good. And I've already finished 1 book this year. And you're seeing this I don't know, is it December 9th? You're seeing it on a Friday, so I don't know what day it is. But I'm filming this on December 4th. So as of right now, I finished 1 book and I've gotten 2/3 of the way through another. So you may have seen those reviews pop up somewhere on my channel. But hey, I will see y'all in the next one.